Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inter Worldwide, wherever you are in the world. Another match day, final word. Match day 29. We're going to round up the week for you. We have a special guest for you right here. Alberto from Juve AllJuveCast, the main host. Alberto, how are you, my friend? Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself, man.
I am doing better today, as yesterday I needed some time to collect myself after what happened with Juve, but I'm doing good today. Thanks for letting me join in. And yeah, I host a YouTube channel. It's at AllJuveCast, and I'm on Twitter, very active, but we do pre-match day lives, and we do post-match coverage, and it's open to any and all Juventini to join in. And we try our best to cover all angles of fans' opinions on the club.
We have Anthony, the co-founder of Inter Worldwide, the face of Inter Worldwide, the Raw Match Reactions. Anthony, my friend, how are you, man?
I'm doing really well, man. Happy Easter to everybody watching around the world. Thank you for hosting, Mo, and a big shout out to my boy Alberto. It's the second time he's decided to give us his time on the Inter Worldwide channel, which deserves mad respect. You know, in this world of footballing egos and fan rivalries, I've said it before, I respect everybody who puts out content, let alone free content, pretty much. So we're all in that same boat here, and I will say to everybody, I have been trying to get Alberto back on for a good maybe 3 months. The time zones haven't worked. So this isn't just a gloating session for us Inter fans, all right? But big shout out to my boys Mo and Alberto. So let's get this going.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to answer all your questions. Is Inter running away with the league? Should Juve and Milan look behind to see who's coming and who's knocking on the door? Juve with a game in hand against Napoli, big one coming. Inter against Sassuolo. They can not say mathematically, but that logically they can wrap up the league. We're going to start with the games, the important ones. We're going to start with the earlier one, Milan Sampdoria 1-1. Underwhelming performance, everyone. Even after the red card, they were chasing the game. They did not create enough chances. Alberto, tell us, do you think Milan, they are on the it's falling now, or what is going on?
I think it was a matter of time, honestly. I think everybody's been waiting for it. I think they've actually done well to maintain where they've been for this long, if we consider all things. They did have a bout with COVID as well. They had injuries. Zlatan's a big piece for him, and he's been unavailable. He was unavailable for a period of time there where they were still finding ways to win. And I think the question was, how long before that kind of stops? Because they got a pretty young group, and it's a bit of a project there. But all in all, I think honestly, I think they should be happy where they're at, to be honest. And I think it's a more than fair position. Are they still in the hunt? I mean, I can't see you guys slipping up to let them in there. I think if they finish top 2, that's massive, but they're a top 4 side all day, in my opinion. So,
Anthony, I'm going to move to Sampdoria. I want to ask you a question that I think I've seen this a lot on Twitter. How long can Quagliarella keep doing this, the beautiful goals? Is it like going to be every week now? He's going to score like he doesn't score a lot, but when he scores, it's a banger. That finish, one-touch finish, lob, it was great. Tell us about Quagliarella, and can he stop?
Well, so yesterday at Easter lunch, I was sitting next to my uncle, who's a massive Milan fan, and I was like, "What did you make of the game last night, man?" Because 9:30 kickoff in Sydney, it was really, really, really easy one for us to tune into. And he was like, "Mate, I don't know why Ranieri hasn't been starting Quagliarella every game this season." I'm like, "Isn't it amazing how the first topic we're talking about is Quagliarella straight away?" His class and his elegance and his footballing IQ when it comes to getting into the right positions. And, Theo Hernandez's pass there was a bad pass. It was a horrendous pass, but you need that extra 10% from an on-course from a striker to be able to pounce on something like that. To be honest, it's something that you expect Lautaro Martinez to do for us, Mo. And Quagliarella's doing that right in the heyday of his career. I love him, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't take him on the bench for the Italian national side. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but I really don't see a reason why you wouldn't take a player like that. To answer your original question, can he keep doing it? Of course he still can, and I think he's in the perfect environment to keep doing it. So if Sampdoria want to keep, giving him an extra contract, taking away 10 to 20,000 each year from that wage just to keep him at the club, I don't see why. And, I'll piggyback that off to you, Mo, and talked about Ranieri. Is he doing a good job with Sampdoria? Has he got them in a position where you think, they deserve to be, Mo?
Every time I watch Sampdoria, they are very consistent. I think they're one of the most consistent teams in the league in terms of performances. It's never a 9 out of 10, and it's never a 3 out of 10. Even when they lose, it's just an okay performance. This is Ranieri, and we know that Ranieri won the Premier League and he challenged for the league with Roma, but it's Ranieri. It's pretty 4-4-2, average team. He has a 38, 39 years old playing as a striker with Gabbiadini, who did not succeed anywhere he went. I think they are where they are, and this is where they belong. 10th, 9th, maybe next season, maybe they can push for 7th, but they need a couple of enforcements. But they are where they are, and they deserve to be where they are right now because Candreva's there, and he's our player.
That's it, man. That's it.
Okay, guys, Alberto. Okay, Torino Derby. I know you've been waiting for this. 2-2. Torino fought really hard. I have not seen Torino fighting in the derby like this before. They were fighting for their lives. I'm gonna leave the floor for you to talk about Torino, how they fought, and also why Juventus were not on top of their game this week after the international break. You should be sharp. You look in the back of the back of the mirror, and then you see people coming. You're like, foot on the gas, let's do it. But it never happened.
Yeah. Torino, that's exactly it. They fought. Juve, they did not. It was not to the standard of a derby. We had 5 guys, I counted, not up to the standard. When half of your starting 11 aren't up to the standard, there's problems. It doesn't matter if the team's fighting for relegation or not. You cannot afford to have half of your lineup out there not fighting and getting stuck in. And the grit's just not there. And the sad reality is that for me personally, with this Juventus side, I'm having a tough time deciding, how much is on Pirlo and how much is on the players. Because at the end of the day, these guys, that lineup, regardless of Arthur, McKennie, and Dybala being banned by the club, they have more than enough to beat a side that's battling for relegation. The fact that we come out and we struggle and we yet again create our own demise is the way I word it, with these errors that always lead to goals. The guys that we need to count on, we no longer can. And that's becoming a problem as you try to integrate young guys. And there's problems there. And you can't afford to make as many mistakes as Juventus has and get away with it. Not now, because the league is much stronger. Teams are punishing Juventus. We used to get by and we used to have a wall at the back, but those days are gone. And now we're getting punished for each mistake. The sad thing is those veterans are also the ones making errors. It's not just the young guys. When we have a 23-year-old Italian who enters the side and he is the only one displaying what it should mean to play for the Stripes, that's a problem. And when our veterans can't match his level, Federico Chiesa's level, that's a problem. There's issues there. And these errors, yeah. Kulusevski, the same error he made against Lazio, he made against Torino. Szczesny couldn't bail him out. Should have bailed him out. Rebound control on the first goal, terrible. Man marking on the first goal, terrible. Mandragora had all day to tee that one up. We continue to leave guys unmarked playing this zone collapsing defense, and there's struggles there. everybody's to blame. And it's tough. And honestly, now Juventus, they better lock up top four. They better lock up top four. That's the sad reality. And it could be a harsh one if they don't get in there. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest.
Since you're here, we're going to come back to you about this, but I want to ask Anthony. Anthony, we're looking at the bottom of the table. Do you think Torino based on performance yesterday, do you think they're closer to stay than Cagliari, who are not performing? But Torino, they are putting the fight. Do you think Torino are closer to stay in the league?
I think yesterday is the sort of game where Torino would have known that there's never a better chance to get 3 points off Juventus in a derby than yesterday. So they had that extra grinta about them because there was no fear factor. The fear factor of jumping up against Juventus was gone about midway through this season when most of the teams realized, we can actually come here and get something from these guys. We don't need to be afraid anymore. Cagliari, me, Mo, I've said it from almost the start of the season. I almost expect them to go down, and it's not like I would be upset if they did go down. I feel like they play really sloppy football, and I even sat down to watch the extended 25-minute mini match of their game yesterday. And even my girlfriend, who only casually watches football highlights and knows nothing about tactics whatsoever, points out number 4 and goes, "Why is that lazy player not doing anything?" She points at Raja Nainggolan without any prompt from me. I don't care if anybody watching doesn't believe me. I did not prompt anything whatsoever because he doesn't mark his man. He's trailing behind as a defender. And every time the opposition has a clear shot on goal, Raja Nainggolan is there with about 3 meters of space of diameter around him. I'm still dirty. I am. But when I look at the way that Cagliari is setting up, clearly something's wrong in the board and in the back staff and up top, because that sort of message of let's re-sign this club legend sort of thing, and no matter what, just throw him onto the field. Even if he looks like a lazy sack of potatoes, just absolutely throw him in there and see what happens. So for me, Cagliari, they're definitely more likely to get relegated than Torino, in my opinion. There's 2 points between them, and Torino have a game in hand. So if that's the case there, then but we'll just have to see what happens over the next 3 or 4 fixtures. The next 3 or 4 fixtures will pretty much shape the league and shape the run in my opinion. Going back just a little bit to Alberto, because obviously we have him here, and this is why I wanted him on. He's you're such a straight thinker, Alberto, whatsoever. You're definitely not clouded by ego and judgment. I don't know how I can say this as an Inter fan, but I'm guilty of driving to work or doing stuff around the house with your podcast in the background because I really, really enjoy hearing rival level-headed fans talk in a level-headed way. This football industry, we're always just clouded by the online ego of football fans not being able to separate emotion from the reality of their club. But the reality of Juventus at the moment is that they will be looking at their books and they will be looking at how the hell do we dig ourselves out of this rut next season. And I guess I'll just start off by asking you, Alberto, where do you think the main things need to be repaired, especially with the whole Cristiano Ronaldo situation? And talk to me briefly about Paulo Dybala, bro, because I think I speak for every football fan in the world, Juve fan or not. We have no idea what's going on with this dude.
Yeah, I mean, if the weekend's any indication, I think the relationship is just not there anymore between club and Dybala. Apparently Agnelli is absolutely livid, and to be honest, rightfully so. This is apparently the guy that's looking for the extension, all this love of the club stuff, and he's 28 years old. He's not a kid. If anything, if there's rules that are about to be broken, he needs to be the voice of reason, stopping that, preventing any issues that could result in fines and or bans, especially during a match that's crucial from the points perspective. He needed to be the voice of reason. The fact that he was involved, I was most disappointed in Dybala. For me, the club doesn't see him as being worth that value. I think it's also the fact that this club is going to be 200 million euros in the hole and needs to come up with 100 million euros by the end of June, and he is the easiest guy to bring that in. in an instant, right? He chews up a big chunk of that in a Pjanic-Artur swap-esque type scenario, because honestly, all the clubs are in the same team same situation when it comes to the revenues. So the Dybala thing for me, it's sad because I do rate him. I do like him as a player. He disappoints me on that leadership standpoint, what happened on the weekend. And the injuries are a frustrating part. The fact that he has been unable to take part in this season really has a lot of fans, a lot of Juventini hesitant about even doing that. It's so hard because on his day, he is a game changer. He's a game changer, no doubt, on his day. Talented kid. Also poses issues and has for multiple managers at where to position him and where to play him. And that's been kind of his ongoing thing. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn on him. The Ronaldo thing also factors into it for me because Juventus needs to look at what they're trying to accomplish. Okay? This Ronaldo project is, any way you slice it, a failure. Whether you factor in marketing, exposure, any of that, I personally feel it goes out the window because the product that you've exposed people to on the pitch is garbage. So people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth regardless. And how much of that actually is sustainable and how much of it is going to be retained once Ronaldo leaves eventually. And the thing is, as much as any Juventini want to talk about the club needs to keep him, all this, it is literally Ronaldo's decision. What happens with Ronaldo. If Ronaldo wants to leave, he's gone. It's not in the club's hands. He's got a year on his contract, whatnot, but we know that power is in the player's hands these days. And that's kind of the part of the issue where Juventus got caught for years of bad negotiations and contract extensions. We have ourselves a hole to dig ourselves out of. Where does it go? Here's another thing that doesn't quite make sense. Pirlo in general. I said it at the start of the year.
Yep.
If you were going to, make this revolution and you want to change your philosophy and all this, why does it make sense to keep Cristiano Ronaldo, who's chewing a third of your team's salary up? Why wouldn't you just actually do a reset and start the squad over? So the whole thing didn't make sense. And even dating back to when Allegri left, that's where it got confusing. And Juve seemed to lost their way, and it looked like a bit of a scramble. It was just like, what's our actual game plan here? Are we in win now mode? Because that's a team that should have Ronaldo, a win now mode. But if you look at the rest of the roster, they never supported it properly. So the project in itself is a failure. And now you're looking at, do you keep him and keep all that money tied up, or do you actually buy into what you're trying to do, which is this new philosophy, and pick up future stars and build fresh, build a new spine for the club? Reaching top four is critical because you're not going to draw anybody if you're out of top four, and you might lose some key guys if you're not in Champions League next year.
I think if Juventus were to struggle to make top four, I don't think the fans are ready for that sort of struggle to come back from. Some of them who are well prepared like yourself, but yeah, in this day and age, and Mo will agree, making that top four spot, man, once you get it, you need to tattoo it on your body and never let it go, because the fall that comes with losing that European, especially in a time where we're just about to go back to playing football with fans in the stadium, that's on the horizon again in the next 3 to 6 months. So you need to be there when football returns, otherwise get left behind.
Yeah, that's the thing. Top four missing out is massive for Juventus, no matter what their plans are. That's going to set any kind of a rebuild. It's already set back due to COVID. Missing out on that football, that could be a couple of year penalty for Juventus, and it's just tough. It's tough. They've got a roster for me that just doesn't reflect where it should be based on the amount of money over the decade of competition money won through Champions League. We're talking €1 billion won in a decade. And when you have a roster where you still have holes at positions, that's bad management. That's bad management.
Well said.
Yeah, they thought they're gonna the money's coming in when we win the Champions League. I think this was they put all the eggs in one basket and said if we win Champions League, we'll make that brand worth $1 billion or €1 billion, and then we'll make the money and fill these holes. But it never happened.
Yeah.
And now we are in the position of like Juventus are in the position of like, okay, we haven't won the Champions League. We might not make top four, but we have this guy who we pay 30 million after tax for this guy, and we have to pay his taxes. Okay, well, where do we go from here? We hire a manager, but we don't support the manager because I don't see it. I don't care about the talk from Agnelli and Nedved about supporting Pirlo. The papers are not supporting Pirlo. This is what matters. It matters big time when the manager has, yes, the president, they support Pirlo, but nobody else around is supporting Pirlo. And I think he's a young manager. He might not be successful this year, but maybe give him the tool. But you can't judge him on this. You can't put all the blame on Pirlo's back and say, oh, he didn't make Champions League, but there's nobody supporting him.
And Mo, what I got into today on my pod is we had a system that started to fail under Allegri. Even our club legend Marchisio called it out. Everybody could see it. You could see it a mile away. He said this fall from grace began under Allegri's last season. Okay, and then you bring in Sarri. Sarri was an absolute mess. He didn't have the locker room. He had to go regardless of winning the league. And even that, we crawled over the finish line. I think, you guys, Lazio, everybody, that was the year to take it last season. But the COVID break, everything just threw it for a loop and everybody came back just rocky, And this season, we wanted change. We wanted philosophy. I had to go to this to show people, like last year, we were going into 70th minute of matches without an attempt on target. Okay. This season, Juventus has the most big chances created in all of Serie A. Okay. And our conversion rate is sitting at the same goals per average as last season. That means that our conversion rate is far worse if we've generated so many more chances, and we are the top club for missed chances, and we still only average a 2.0 goal per match rating. That's awful conversion. Now, the rebuttal to me was, well, look at our total goals. We're on par with all these other clubs. Total goals paints a different picture, though, because total goals will also factor in meaningless goals in matches where you might score meaningless ones where the game's already sealed. Your conversion rate actually shows you a true outlook of all your matches, considering draws to Benevento, losses to Benevento, a draw to Lazio earlier on in the season, a draw to Atalanta. Like, those are the ones where all these conversion rates, it factors in. If you look at Juventus as a whole, there's only been a handful of matches this entire season we have literally been played and dominated off the pitch. The rest, Juventus controls possession. Juventus gets more chances, more opportunities to score, but we're not coming out with victories because honestly, it comes down to mistakes. We've had so many injuries too. When you're relying on these young guys, a guy like Kulusevski, who probably didn't even expect to get as much time as he is, let alone out of position at second striker, he's not a second striker. We've had to bank on that again. Goes back to the roster that we built. We got away from what made us work. Getting guys that were there for the cause, that were going to fight, and building a team based on traits and abilities. We got away from that. What did you guys do? You got into that. You brought in a manager. You guys had a plan. He knew what he wanted, and you guys brought in a guy that knows how to build teams, and he went out and got those guys. We haven't been doing that. We have not been doing that. We've been doing the opposite, and we've been letting the money dictate our moves, and that's wrong.
Well said.
Let me ask you one last question on Juventus before we move on. What's the percentage of making top four for you as a Juventino?
If I had to slap a percentage on it, I still can't see this club missing out on top four. When I look at a couple of those clubs that are kind of on the fringe, they're chasing it. I'd say 75%. I can't see it.
Yeah.
So
You can't believe that it might come down to
it's a crazy harsh reality to picture. But you know what? Sometimes you got to take many steps backwards in order to go forward. So let's hope it's the wake-up call that the guys up top need to be. And what I've said on my show is my eyes are on one person only, and that's Agnelli. He needs to right the ship ultimately.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe to Inter Worldwide. Also, All JuveCast down here on the video. Make sure to subscribe and like. Great content from All JuveCast and Inter Worldwide, always trying to provide you the best in Serie A world along with Inter. We're moving on to Bologna-Inter, the hard-fought 3 points. Anthony, raw match reaction, man, you looked so happy in that video. If you guys did not check that video, go check it. It's a raw match reaction just out of his heart, Anthony. Tell me about, did you like the ugly win? It's the champions winning, right?
Yeah, it was just so good to have Serie A football back, man. Like not having it it seemed like the longest international break I've ever gone through, to be honest. And that's probably because in the past, Mo, we've been so happy to see the international break roll around. I mean, let's face it, we only just started fighting for this league title. We were fighting for a Champions League spot, which was a whole separate pain in the ass. And then we were coming off all the banter years of, maybe it's a good thing to miss out on Inter for a couple of weeks, but we needed this injection, especially because you had all these, false headlines of Inter fans or the Inter club happy to postpone the Sassuolo fixture. Guys, you don't slow down a steaming train that's going at 100 or 1,000 miles an hour. We were ready for Sassuolo. The same way we were ready for Bologna. It was always going to be rusty. It was always going to be a grind of a performance because, Mihailovic has an identity with that side. That's why you've seen them go from flirting with 15th, 16th to cementing themselves in that meaty curve of the Serie A table where they want to be. Winning ugly is the sign of a champion. You don't need to tell our guest here today that Juventus have made a name for themselves of winning ugly when they did not play well. And yesterday we did not play well. We were good, Mo, for about 10 minutes altogether yesterday, in my opinion. But we got that win, and to be honest, despite a little bit of nerves at the end of the match, it never really felt like we were going to let those 3 points go once we had them, once we had that 1-goal lead. And you could just see the reaction from Conte and Oriali and co after the game yesterday. We're at that stage now where 3 points isn't baby steps forward. It's not a step forward. Every win from here is like a mountain leap towards this league title. And looking at the table and looking at how many points we are in front, is it enough to say that you've won the league? No, not in any league in the world, in my opinion. However, in context relative to the rivals and in context relative to how they're playing on the pitch, I just don't see it happening. I don't see Milan or Juventus being able to put together a run of games where we drop points and they don't. So we're going to continue to win ugly. We're going to continue to grind out the points. I think we've got ourselves in a position now where if we were to slip up against Sassuolo, it's not the end of the world. This Conte team's going to come back and beat Cagliari by 3 goals, in my opinion. It's not
Absolutely.
A team that's going, we're not a team that's going to take a bullet and stay down. Whereas in the past, we were the type to just trip over our own shoelaces and sit there and cry for 2 or 3 weeks. So I have a lot of faith in this team. I have a lot of faith in Conte, and I don't want to speak too soon yet, but this season could actually just be the start of something more successful for a few years. I'll head over to you next, Mo, and then we'll speak to Alberto about what he thought about Inter's run yesterday and, just basically how he thinks overall about how we're going. What about you, Mo? Talk to us.
For me, I grew up supporting the Azzurri when I was 10 years old in the World Cup of 94, and then later it's all about the defending the 1-0, the 2-1s. Yeah. This is all what I'm about. I only talk about defense when I go to my boys and coach. They're like, hey, guys, if you're not losing, you have a 50% of chance of winning that game in a second. But if you're losing, you're chasing, you're giving the other team 70% of the chances to tie or defend or do whatever. So I like just defending in the beginning of the game. It was just defense. Give Bologna the ball, let them play, try to create chances. And when we hit, we're going to defend this with our lives. And then we did 1-0. I loved it. I don't want the 5 and the 4s. We'd already scored 80 goals this season. I'm done with goals. I just want to win the league as early as I can. That's all I'm about. Alberto, I'm going to give you a couple of questions about Inter. Do you see Conte's Juve in this Inter?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Again, you know, these victories, this is not the first one where you guys have won ugly, and that's the difference. When you're getting points, you know, that while you're not playing well, that's all the difference, you know. You look at the flip side to where we're at. We play ugly, we're not getting the results. And it's a difference, right? We're getting those draws and taking those L's, and it is what it is. But the thing with the Conte's team is he is meticulous when it comes to errors and playing error-free. It's okay if you absorb pressure as long as you're not making mistakes, errors, breakdowns. You know, the Conte-led teams, even through Juventus, they knew when it was time to go into a shell and when you'd have to change things up. And maybe it's not according to the game plan, but they knew when it was time to strike and when it was time to hit you back. And they were always just well planned, you know, like they knew how to get it done. And the biggest thing about them is they'll fight. They got the fight. They don't get their heads down. That's the thing with the Conte's teams. Honestly, I'd be shocked if a Conte-led team wouldn't seal this thing up where you guys are right now. I'd be shocked beyond belief.
Absolutely.
You know, I know you guys don't want to count your chips while you're at the table, and I understand that, but I cannot see a Conte-led team dropping it with that much of a lead.
Unless something catastrophic happens. I want to say something tactically. I used to watch Juventus, Conte and Allegri, and there's something that used to happen that used to like blow my mind. Sometimes Juventus will have the ball 70% for the first 20 minutes, but they don't score. And I see Juventus, just everybody's dropping and leaving the ball to the other team because they know that they can hit on the counter. And that's in the beginning with Conte. Every Inter fan complained about sometimes we'll have 70% of the ball, but we're not scoring. The game ends 1-0 to the opponent. Like we attacked against Shakhtar the whole game and then we did not win. Against Parma, we had the ball all the time. And at the end, Parma scored 2 and we had to go to come from behind. But now I think Conte put that mentality that we can defend. Don't worry about it. I can give the opponent the ball and we can defend. And we'll hit them on the counter because we have Lukaku, Lautaro, we have Barella. We have these guys that can run, Hakimi. In the beginning, it didn't happen, but now it's happening. And tactically, I admire Conte for adapting to what's going on when we had the ball and we're not winning. I admire Conte for this. Guys, we're going to move to Bologna. They played really well. What do you guys think? Anthony, did you think Bologna played really, really well? They
made that game so hard for us, man. So hard for us. Then, you know, they've just got a decent bunch of players in the team. But more importantly, as I said, they've got a tactical identity about them. Something that, you know, a lot of sides in Serie A who just decide to play, you know, sit most of their men behind the defense. They, you know, that's the go-to tactic for pretty much the entire bottom half of the league in Serie A, even a few sides in the top half of the league as well. So Bologna is a side that know very much so what they're capable of. And, you know, a side that at the start of the season may have looked like they might have struggled to get some points together, you know, sitting on 34 points in 11th position on the ladder at the moment, considering how everything's gone this season. They will be over the moon to seal a position in the ladder around about 10th, 11th or 12th in this COVID impacted season. You know, not threatened by relegation at all at the moment. Expect them to be a pain in the ass for all teams until the end of the season, even though most people will say the teams that you want to play at this point in the season are the teams in the middle of the table. You don't want to play anybody who's fighting for top objectives in Champions League or European football or for titles. You also don't want to play teams scrapping out of the relegation zone because they start going hell for leather. But that being said, teams like Sampdoria and Bologna have gotten themselves into their positions mode because they know what they're capable of. They know what they're good at. They know what they're not so good at. and they target their strengths rather than, focus on other teams making mistakes. And yesterday, Inter was in a dogfight up until the 93rd minute, most. So Bologna, more power to them. They'll really look forward to the fact that they can go on a nice holiday at the end of the season and start fresh again, bro. That's just my opinion. What about you, Alberto?
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Anthony. Bologna is a pain in the ass side, man, and that's just comes straight from their manager, man. Like it just really, really does. They're pesky side, and yeah, they'll be through the roof. They could potentially finish in the upper half there. They're right there in the mix. Yeah, they actually played a really, really good game, and that's the thing now is that they're creating that identity. They're starting to figure something out there. They just got to stick with it. But in terms of who you want to play and whatnot, yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't want to play anybody down this stretch now that's got anything to play for, because that's going to be an issue. Sometimes on the flip side, though, those teams that have nothing to play for, nothing to lose, whatever, it's a lot more relaxed, and sometimes that's dangerous on its own. So it's tough, catch-22 there. But Bologna played a great match against you guys, and again, those are the wins that make the difference, and you guys are getting them this year.
Absolutely, guys, absolutely.
That Andreas Skovolsen, watch out for him. He was a bit of a pest yesterday, the Danish forward. I think he can have a half decent career in Serie A, but we might touch on that in another video. I know we like to keep our eyes on those players that are maybe just about breaking into their next stage of their career.
When we buy them, or what are we targeting here? Who buys them? We do? Or like Inter?
No, at the moment, I think he might need to settle for expectations a little bit lower than coming first. Okay. But I liked him yesterday.
Maybe someone will watch this video and they will take Anthony's hint, and you'll be up there, man.
I liked his off-ball movement yesterday, and I think at the age of 21, I looked him up. I'm like, 21, this dude might have something going for him. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Skovolsen. I thought he was a good player. Yeah.
Nice.
Alberto, simple question. Are you a fan of Fonseca?
Oh, you know what? Yes and no, really. Like it's I don't know, man. It's weird. I look at that team and I think they've got way more in them, but sometimes I don't necessarily know. It's weird. I think after the whole kerfuffle there with the substitutions there and Fonseca, I kind of, that head scratching moment, I was kind of like, what's going on here? That's not a nice sign to see from your leader there. So that was a strange one. But overall, I just don't know with the Roma side. Like they've got a good squad, I think, when you look at their list of players on paper. But they've always kind of been like that, like maybe in the mix for a while and then drop off, or just there was a few years there Roma was in the mix, top two, like top three, like going for Scudetto, and they always
felt the final Champions League as well, yes,
and just tripped on their own laces there, and they're just a funny side. Roma's been a funny side for a while. I don't necessarily know if Fonseca's the guy or not, but I don't think he's done terribly, to be honest. But I don't know. I think it's a funny side, man. Hard to figure Roma out. I think from one year to the other, you just never know with Roma.
Anthony, that game yesterday was open. Tons of chances missed from both sides, which actually confirms what Alberto is saying. It's a nice. Both teams are very nice going forward, but when you look at the defenses, one of them, 46 goals for Sassuolo and Roma 44. One of the weakest defenses in the top half, which tells you a lot about the defense. But there's a lot of absentees: Ibanez, Villar, Mkhitaryan, and Berardi, Locatelli. But Sassuolo with Hellas Verona, this is the 8th place race. I think it might be close, but I think it's just it's an honor thing. But Roma, remember, I told you they are underwhelming team. They are underachieving because anybody from top 7 I think, other than Lazio, that comes at 7th, is an underperforming team. Because Lazio has the tiniest squad, to be honest. Do you agree with this or not?
Yeah, if you were to ask me at the start of the season, and I think I must have said this on camera at some point, pick one of the big teams that you know for sure you think isn't going to make top 4, I would have said Roma, and I would have stuck with Roma all the way till the end. It's just, I was iffy at the start of the season with their backroom staff, and a few of their board decisions were really bad. I don't think they should have loaned out or sold a couple of their players as well that they did. However, and this game was a big reason why I was able to stay awake an extra 6 or 7 hours than I thought I would. I was ready to go to bed just before midnight. I thought, no, I'll chuck the Sassuolo Roma game on. I watched the whole game. I loved it, man. I thought it was a fantastic game of football from a neutral perspective. It was really, really fun to watch, end-to-end stuff. And, a lot of players yesterday had to step it up because there were a lot of injuries and a lot of absentees from yesterday's fixture. Roma are missing a lot of their players at the moment. Ibanez, Villa, Mkhitaryan, Kumbula, Berardi, Locatelli were unavailable as well for Sassuolo. So it was a very, very open match. Are they done in terms of top 4, Roma? I'm actually going to say yes, because for me now, Mo, it's all about who of these teams is good enough to outscore and outperform their rivals. And at the moment, I think Juventus will just dig deep enough to get the points. Atalanta, I think we'll speak about soon. They will push on. And for me, Roma's the side that's going to be left behind, Mo. And I don't know what their plan is next season and their strategic direction next season, because it looks like it could be a rough one for them. Sassuolo still have the beautiful football. They still have their fighting spirit. They're in the position in the ladder that they need to be. There's no reason why they can't be 1 or 2 spots higher, though, to be honest, even next season. But that'll all just come down to who has the better off-season, financial situations, liquidity situations, who needs to raise funds, who can keep their players, etc., etc. But for most of the part, Mo, you and I have been on the same page about Roma the whole season. They're thereabouts, but they're very far from impressive, mate.
There's just massive gap between the top 7 and everybody else, to be honest. But also watching the football, and I want to add this, there is a massive gap between Sassuolo, Verona, and everybody else below them. Mm-hmm. So these two are a different level than everybody else below them. And they play better football. They are well-drilled going to the games. So this is something that, if you look at the table, you will notice that right away. Oh, Lazio, Spezia, guys. Spezia, one of the fun teams this year. Unexpectedly fun this year. Oh, Verdi overhead kick, if you guys watched that.
That was gross.
Just remember last final word, how I was like, yeah, no, that's it. Graziano Pelle, goal of the season, goal of the decade. My guy. Bro, that Verdi overhead kick was a little bit of that and some more on top. Bro.
It was ridiculous.
How did he contour his body on that angle to get that sort of finish into that corner? That defied physics, man.
Oh. Yeah. Guys, Spezia attacking football, I think, to be honest, in my opinion, personal, they deserve to stay in the league. You play beautiful football like this, you deserve to stay. You're not scrapping around. You're coming from Serie B and you're not defending every game. This is great. Alberto, Lazio, are you, I'm not sure. You're not in a good terms with Lazio as a Juventini. You're not.
Oh, God, no. God, no.
Okay, we know that. Do you think it was a lucky penalty then?
Yeah, that was. I thought that was pretty harsh, to be honest. But by rule, it's a penalty. Yeah. You know,
it's a lucky penalty.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if the guy's not even facing it or looking at it, whatnot, that's pretty lucky. But by rule, it's a penalty. You know.
But guys, Lazio, they win their game in hand, and they are 1 point behind Juventus or Napoli, whoever loses.
Right? How good the pressure, man! The pressure is on.
Can you imagine this? Can you guys, look at this? Lazio on 52. Whoever wins from Juventus and Napoli, and Lazio plays Sassuolo, I guess, right? They play Torino or Sassuolo? They play Torino.
Yeah.
And they win against Torino, 1 point. They are there for the chase, man. They are in the race.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
We kind of,
that midweek match is a big one for Juve and Napoli. That's a
Oh
big one.
man, it's
that's
gonna
it.
be
I
huge.
think I think to me now at this stage of the last 10 weeks, this is the game of the season now because can you imagine like one of these teams lose and then this is gonna be like a downhill from there. It's just gonna be
Oh
for the
man,
morale. Guys,
sure as hell don't
okay,
want it to be Juve. I'll tell you that. Jeez. And
you
like
want to
the
think
whole thing
about it,
with
right?
Napoli too. Like even Napoli too. Like I don't understand why Gattuso's always on this hot seat and whatnot. Like I think it's just like I don't know what the expectations and what the realistic like expectations are with that club or whatnot. But I think he's far from any type of issue, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah, you know what the problem is? The problem is the 80 freaking million that they paid. I think this is every fan look at it. We spent 80 million. Yes, it's awesome, man. You didn't buy. I'm sorry, you didn't buy Lionel Messi. You didn't buy Cristiano Ronaldo. You did not buy a super. You did not buy Aguero. It's still awesome, and who played in the French league, you know. But oh, we spent 80 million in the striker. We should be winning the league. No, you shouldn't. You still have Deme in the midfield, and
Yeah.
Koulibaly wants to leave the club, and your left back is Mario Rui. Well, what do you expect? You're going to win the league with Mario Rui? I'm sorry. I like the style, but you can't win the league with these players. When half your team wants to leave, that's number one. The second, they're not good enough. And Gattuso, but I tell you guys what, I think Gattuso is in the hot seat because of games like this, Napoli Crotone, because of games like Sassuolo, the 3-3. This is why he's in the he's everybody's talking about him. You are 3-1 on Cortona and then 3-3 and then you win. You scrap the win at the end. It's not at the end. It was 70th minute, something like this. But Napoli, lethal going forward, and Manolas is so clumsy, shambolic defending from Manolas and
Yeah.
everybody else around him.
Dude, did you see Maximovic's performance yesterday? It was so bad. That was the type of performance that makes you go, oh, holy shit, I hope we go nowhere near that guy as a signing. And like, I've watched
Yeah.
Maximovic before, and when I saw the rumors come out that Inter might be looking to shift him into the team, I'm like, that's a clear upgrade on Ranocchia, despite the fact that Ranocchia still comes on the pitch and puts in a performance for us. But Maximovic yesterday had... Yeah, Maximovic yesterday had a 1 out of 10 game. That's how bad he was, bro.
I just like to go at Gattuso for me, like again, just logically looking at this team, their defense is just a mess. Like it's Koulibaly and nothing, to be honest. And it's just like offensively, that team is dangerous. Like they're very strong offensively, but the defense, like I don't know what you're expecting with those types of guys back there. Like it's just like Manolas has always been that guy that's like I've always felt overrated. Like
he has a mistake in him every game, right? He has a mistake in him, a big one every game.
Always, he's always making errors, and I'm just like, fuck, man, he's so overrated. And Mario Rui,
yeah, but Albert, that's what happens. That's what happens when you perform in the Champions League or in the World Cup. 1 game out of 5, you etch your name into this next tier. And that day that Manolas knocked Barcelona out of the World Cup, by sheer default, he bumped himself up a couple of tiers in football. It's what happens.
I remember when Manolas was the big talk, and everybody was like, "Well, Juve, why not?" And I said, "God, no! Holy crap! If you guys want errors every match, just sign me. Sign me for less. I'll give you errors all day back there."
Guys, do you think that Wednesday is a decider for Gattuso, or do you think he's okay based on his performances? I'm going to start with Anthony.
I'll just say before Alberto jumps in again, Napoli were ridiculously unstable with the king of stability, Carlo Ancelotti, on the seat. De Laurentiis has created a lot of issues for this club in the last 4 to 5 seasons. I think because part of him is really, really psycho about not being able to win one of those Scudetto when he had the chance to next to Juventus. It's now he's looking the best he can to hold on to this tough mentality and this galactic psychological approach. But this Napoli team is broken, in my opinion. It's a Band-Aid side. There are a lot of Band-Aid solutions in that side, and without a proper, I don't think. I would say I agree with Alberto. I don't know how you can put the blame on Gattuso. However, a lot of Napoli fans I know for a fact disagree. Our good friend Mario Galliano, who spends a lot of time with Napoli fans, has told us on this channel recently. He goes, "You should hear the way Napoli fans talk about Gattuso sometimes. it's, whenever he has a bad game, they're willing to pounce, and they've been pouncing on him throughout the season. So I don't want to talk about, other fans and how they approach their personnel, because Inter fans have been very critical of all of their personnel up until basically this season. But yeah, for me, I would have to echo the thoughts of both of you. What's getting Gattuso out of there going to solve? If anything, in my opinion, he's able to get a little bit more psychologically out of his side than some other coaches. But that's just me. I know Mo's very tactical, and he'll probably tell me that, his tactics are quite flawed. Gattuso, he's still got a lot to learn. He's a young coach, right?
Yeah, that's the
He's
thing.
not bad. He doesn't have a defensive midfielder, a proper one. The guy who plays, his name was
not Bakayoko. He doesn't like Bakayoko.
So Bakayoko, he's very lazy. His attitude is not a defensive midfielder. And he doesn't have a proper defensive midfielder to protect the defense. And both Zelensky and everybody around him, Elmas, Fabian Ruiz, they're very attacking players. They're not defensive players. So yeah, I understand why Gattuso is struggling to put the defense back together and defend, because there's nobody wants to defend in this team. Everybody wants to go score the goal. Everybody.
Yep, pretty much.
Anyway.
How about Simi?
Ooh, Simi. What's he got? 16 goals now. I think it's only Lukaku, Immobile. Maybe not even Immobile. Lukaku, Ronaldo, and Muriel, who've got more goals than him. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Simi, man.
Wow.
15,
with Crotone. That's a feat. That's a feat right there.
That's probably going to be the silver lining on Crotone's season. If I was in charge of Crotone, I'd say, you know what, we're going down to Serie B. Let's take 20 million euros down with us and rebuild. What do you reckon, Mo?
Yeah, it's just they're playing for pride. Do you know that they scored in the last 5 games, which is something, it's phenomenal for a team fighting relegation. You score in every game in the last 5 games. It's actually very good. And this guy, man, he can outrun everybody and he can muscle everybody, right, in the league. It's phenomenal. You see stuff like this, and they're going to go down and he's going to be sold, but they're going to make money, right? They're going to make money off him. Hopefully.
Hopefully, we all know how Italian clubs are with their pride and their ego.
Yeah.
They wanted to hold on to their assets, so they better sell him. They have to.
Yeah, they'd be silly. They'd be silly to not do it.
Yeah, what are you going to get out of the league other than selling your guy for 30 million or 40 million? This is what it. Anyway, guys, the most fun team in the league, Atalanta. That's my opinion, Alberto. I'm not sure if you heard it before. I watch Atalanta and I always think like, okay, they're gonna win this game. You know Barcelona fans, when they had all this team and they go into the games 99%, they have their legs crossed and we're winning. I felt Atalanta, they're never on pressure, man. They're never under pressure. They're always winning. Luis Muriel, another goal. I don't know where is he going from there. And Zapata, a great goal. Atalanta won 7 out of 8, guys. Only lost to Inter. Are they the closest team to top 4? Alberto?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, they got an unreal system. They've been able to keep the guys together. Everybody knows their role. It's plug and play for them at this point, And you got both your guys up top that can bang them in, and you're getting a hell of a lot of contribution from Gosens from that position. That's massive, massive support goals too, right, on that team. Yeah, they're just a fun team to watch. Domestically, they are. It's incredible to watch those guys play. It's fun. It's good football to watch. In this one, sure, the score was close, but it actually wasn't. The match wasn't. If you watch, and Atalanta could have scored way more goals. And that's just who they become. You got to be on your game because they're going to create a lot and they're going to come at you. And they play fearless is what they do. They just let it all hang out there. And it's Gasparini's done a great job there. Is Gasparini ready for a bigger task? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anthony, what do you think about Atalanta? Do you like them?
Oh, yeah, man. As I said the split second they were knocked out of the Champions League, I said, this team's going to put together a ridiculous run in Serie A. No one's going to beat them, in my opinion. They'll go
Can I revoke the question? Do you like Gasparini?
Sorry? Oh, do I like Gasparini?
Question?
Well, Gasparini, on the other hand, like he's shown his stubbornness big time. And the fact that it's not just the Gomez issue, you're looking at this drop in form mentally and physically in Ilicic as well. I'm not too sure if this Atalanta project that has been so strong under Gasperini is still in its peak mode. I think it might be starting to reach that phase where rejuvenation, implementation, adaptation really is important now for them to stay at the top. So Gasperini to move to another big club, I don't know. I kind of see a meltdown straight away, to be honest. I'd see him maybe a little bit out of his depth. I think he's very, very comfortable where he is. He's in an element where, he's basically built all this trust from the club. It looks like the club mode will continue to back Gasperini over these individual players. So maybe a discussion for... Sorry?
Why not?
Why not?
If they make top four and sell a couple of players for 50, 60, 70 million and they have money in the bank, okay, who cares?
This isn't
Who
Napoli.
cares if he has a fight with Gomez or has a fight with Ilicic? Who cares? These guys are old.
Exactly.
Let's get the young ones. Let him build these guys, sell them for money, make money, and make the Champions League every year.
This isn't Napoli or Roma or even Inter, for God's sake. This is Atalanta. Where were they 5 years ago? Let's just stop pretending for a second and still realize that this team was playing against Real Madrid in the round of 16 only a few weeks ago. So yeah, I do think that, the game was never in doubt and Atalanta will be chasing second spot. I don't think Italian football fans can now use the excuse though that, they're not playing in Europe. They'll have an easier run. Guys, let's be honest. Juventus only played 2 extra games than everybody else. One of them was in Turin. The other one's a 4-hour direct flight to Lisbon or Porto or wherever it was. Yeah. It's not like these Italian sides can really use that excuse because our performance in Europe has been shambolic. But for me, Mo, I would agree. The Gasperini and Atalanta, it's sort of a match made in heaven at the moment. And I think they'd be really stupid to separate that relationship. Udinese, on the other hand, terrorist footballers of Serie A, they're not playing for anything. They're just out there to be a huge pain in the ass for everybody. Kind of similar to Bologna, but without those nice little spells in attack. So all for Udinese just basically clawing their way to a mid-table finish at the end of the season.
Just before I talk on Udinese, props to Atalanta's management because the sales that they've made, and the purchases they've made are incredible. Like, this team has just been making move after move after move. That's just been great work, fantastic work to build the roster they have, to pull in the money they have for certain players. And they absolutely stole Romero from Juventus. They're going to end up with Romero for like 20 mil total or something like that. And it pissed me off because I didn't even realize that there was obligation to buy. I thought we could retain him and bring him back. Not the case. So props to Atalanta. Udinese, all I have to say is bring me DePaul. Bring me DePaul to Juve. Udinese can finish wherever the hell they want. I like DePaul. He's got the traits and abilities we lack desperately out of the midfield. We don't have a single guy like that can it has great vision, can read the play, can do it all. He's free kicks. We need to get CR off free kicks for Christ's sake, okay? Get DePaul in for me, man. I'd be all over.
I don't like this, Alberto. You know why I don't like this? Because now it's going to be a bid and who's going to pay more. This is going to be like, some people, we have to make up our minds. Like, who's going to go for him so they won't ask for 60 million. But anyway,
60's hefty. Last I heard it was going to be in the 40 range, 40, 45, and I think that's fair. That's more than fair for DePaul.
Yeah, but not if Juve, Milan, Inter going for him.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Anyway,
60. I think 60 is a stretch.
They're pushing it, right? They're pushing it. 60.
Oh yeah. And I think they got it. They're going to have to realize that it's COVID times. So do you eventually battle getting nothing, or do you take what you can get when you can get it, right?
Absolutely. Okay, there's a game that I don't know what to say about, to be honest. I watched parts of this game, Cagliari-Hellas. Cagliari had tons of chances when they were 1-0, tons. But nobody wanted to put the ball in the net, tons of them. But then, to be honest, Hellas, they have this Barak guy. He's like the X factor. He's like, comes out of nowhere, makes you a good play, an assist or a goal or something like this. Is Cagliari, we've talked about Cagliari, Anthony. You expressed your feelings about Cagliari and Nainggolan, who I think you wish him not well because he hurt our club. But Alberto, I'm going to give you the floor a little bit. Tell me something that we haven't said about Hellas.
About Hellas? Oh man, they're a nightmare squad. They're a nightmare squad to play, man. But that Barak he's great to watch. Like, he was so good against Juve. He stood out to me for Hellas, and he's an aerial threat. He's not scared to rip the ball from anywhere. He's got a shot on him. He scored such a nice goal in this one. He's quite a ways out. And man, he put that. It didn't matter that it lacked maybe a bit of pace because he put it right in the money spot. Like, that keeper's not getting to it. Really tough for any keeper for that matter. But Verona's just a pesky side. There's not a whole bunch to them. It's very straightforward. You're not getting any flair. You're just getting a straightforward. They're going to line up against you. They're going to chip away at you, and they're going to make it a long, long day at the office for you. That's what you're going to get out of Verona. Cagliari's just shit, man, if I'm being honest. And you know what? Honestly, if Torino were to somehow get relegated and Cagliari stayed in, well, silver lining for Juve, just go after Belotti, for God's sakes. So I'd be okay with that too, being our crosstown rivals. But I cannot see a scenario where Cagliari ends up saving relegation, to be honest.
Do you see another scenario where Parma stays? Anthony, do you see any scenario where Parma stays?
Well, it's interesting, bro. How are we going to know until we see the next few results? Like, I feel in my head, Mo, the season's like kind of done because of all the delays and the postponements and the rescheduling. But then you got to regroup yourself, look at the ladder and go, holy shit, 10 games left. We've still got 25% of the season to go. I don't have this thing in my brain that can jump the gun that early, but with Parma, how long didn't they set some sort of record for going the longest time without winning a game in Serie A this season? And it was the longest time in their history as well. I think they've had so many setbacks this season, bro. We're just, coming back from it. It's just been really hard for them. They haven't been able to regroup. They haven't been able to give themselves time or a chance or any sort of hope to regroup. And, they really, really dug deep to get that draw against Benevento, bro. Really, they should have dropped another game. And, Milan coming up for them next, it would be amazing for them to take points. I want them to do nothing more than to take points from Milan, but Milan's going to walk all over them, in my opinion. And then games against Cagliari, Juventus to come as well, Atalanta, Lazio, they've got a tough schedule, man.
Yeah,
they got a tough schedule. We've said it before, Mo. We don't want to see Parma go down because we grew up with, watching a really entertaining Parma, watching players from that Parma team then go on to create legend-like stature careers. But at the moment, man, it looks rough. For me personally, looking at this table now, I see a situation where Cagliari can escape. I think it's more likely Parma go down. That's my final word on Parma.
Yeah.
Okay, last game of the week, Genoa Fiorentina, guys. It's a balanced game, 1 point for each team. Both teams are safe and not playing for anything, or still Fiorentina in the fight or something, or
both teams have mentally given up on the season. All they want is for the season to end, and all they want is for next season to begin. Fiorentina maybe a little bit more than Genoa. Balanced game. Honestly, it was just one of those games where I looked at the fixture at the start of the round and I'm like, okay, this is a fixture I've got absolutely no interest in whatsoever. I'm more interested in Fiorentina's issues off the pitch than the performances they put in on the pitch. I think that, they had a decent structure put into place when Commisso took over again and, brought in Iachini, but it just hasn't worked out for them as well. And we know that Iachini is just a stopgap for next season. For me personally, the only way this Fiorentina team next season can jump a few spaces up is if they bring in Luciano Spalletti, bro. Florence man through and through. Bring him back. Inject some quality, inject some spark into that club, because You know, you've got players like Frank Ribery making bad challenges in the heyday of his career. Gaetano Castrovilli looks demotivated to the point where he's trying things on the pitch that just aren't working. You know, have a little bit of intelligence, bro, and realize that the players around you are not going to compensate for some of your decisions on the pitch as well. So for me, Fiorentina really just need to forget about this season and try and restore some pride next season, man. But again, just my opinion. I think they severely underachieved in the last 2 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
Alberto, can you add anything about Genoa and Fiorentina here, or?
I like Anthony's shout to get Spalletti there, also because he's rumored as one of Pirlo's replacements, and I would love nothing more to not have him. So, sure, go to Fiorentina.
Not for Juventus. Not for Juventus, bro. I tell you right now, he'll go in there and perform an undercover sabotage even more than what you guys thought Conte would do to us.
The crazy thing is that these are some of the tweets I see daily, Anthony. Calling for Spalletti, and I said, if that's where we're at, I'm probably taking a vacation. Okay. Fiorentina for me, bright spot is, and I'm actually surprised, but Vlahovic is a bright spot.
He's good.
He's actually really, really come on, and I had a lot of criticisms of him. Watched him for a while, and I just thought, man, this guy's clunky. He's, his touch is off, but he's found his way. He's making it work. Castrovilli hit the ground running at the start of the season, and he fizzled. He's still decent, but it's one of those sides where, again, like we saw Federico Chiesa struggle there, and the team itself is just, they're constantly not committing to something. That's the issue. They need somebody that will go in there, that the club will commit to and will work off of. This constant change thing and revolving door there at Fiorentina is a major, major issue. And it sucks for the talents because they actually do get a hold of a lot of young talents.
Yeah.
And they need to get some type of stability, which will also in turn help the bigger clubs in Serie A once these guys develop enough that you could take them. So they've always had a knack for finding the good young talents, but they just don't have a program that I think maximizes their output, right? So they got to get something together, something in place, and actually commit. Fiorentina.
Okay, guys, 10 games played on Saturday because of Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. Last thing I want from both of you guys is predictions for midweek. Alberto, I'm going to start with you. Both games, Inter Sassuolo and Juventus Napoli. What do you think is going to happen?
Juventus will win. I cannot see it. Something that's become notorious for Juventus over these past 3.5 seasons is international breaks. The matches before and after Juve is dreadful. That's the way it's been. Napoli, again, we should be able to take advantage of the issues they have at the back. And I would expect Chiesa, Ronaldo, Morata to give them fits. And I honestly, with all that surrounding everything that's happening, I don't feel like Pirlo has lost the dressing room. So I think the guys will go for it for him. I think everybody's feeling the heat, but I don't see a scenario in which Juve drops it. McKennie, Arthur, and Dybala will be on the lineup sheet. And I think
with something to prove.
I think, it's time for gut check time for everybody involved, and I see them getting the job done. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight match. I see it possibly being a 2-1 either way. So in terms of the other match, Sassuolo and it's funny because they just played Roma this past weekend, and you have two clubs for me that are identical and just can't get it done against the big guns in the league, and they haven't all season. And I honestly don't expect it to be any different in this one. I think Inter will win. I can't see Sassuolo hasn't done it all season, notoriously struggled against the top sides, and I don't see it being different. So I pick Inter to win, probably with a clean sheet as well, if I'm being honest.
Anthony.
Oh, hard to disagree with anything Alberto said. Look, for me, I think the Juventus-Napoli game, Juventus will always show that over 90 minutes against these big sides, they've still got the maturity and they've still got the quality. For me, I kind of expect it to be similar to their 3-1 victory over Lazio, in a sense where we all knew Lazio would come out against Juventus, the more excited side, the side ready to showcase, the side ready to prove that they could win. But in a sense that as the game grew on and they threw the kitchen sink at Juventus were able to pretty much just play on the break and get that job done, albeit without Cristiano Ronaldo. And, you know, Alberto, I don't know what your thoughts are, but maybe sometimes this season when Ronaldo hasn't been in the mix, you've seen a little bit more fluidity or ambition in terms of the build-up play from Juventus, no?
We've seen both sides of it. We definitely had probably our best match of the season versus Lazio with CR on the bench. This is where the frustration sets in with Pirlo too, is because he went with a hybrid 4-2-3-1 and it was the best thing we looked like all season. It didn't have Ronaldo, and what changed was that Chiesa was able to give you that work rate on that side. That you don't get with CR. You always have to account for CR being on the pitch. So the flip side to it is, you know, we've had matches where he wasn't in the lineup and we drew some lower sides too. He also does have 31 goals. So one way or another, you know, it's a tough one. There's also scenarios where some of these other guys scored some nice goals and you can't help but wonder if CR's on the lineup, do they even take the attempt? Or do they look for him and try to force things, right? It's an interesting scenario. But I don't know, man. I feel like the honeymoon phase is over. And I honestly, in my personal opinion, I think CR is checked out of Juve. That's just how I feel.
Well said, man. I digress from the original question. Look, to be honest, Juventus is going to beat Napoli, in my opinion. I think they win it either 2-1 or 3-1. I've already got that in my head. If they drop points, fantastic. But this is why, Mo, we need to be strong against Sassuolo. Because, yes, we've done really well. And I mentioned this in a lot of chats. What I'm most impressed with, Mo, is the wins over Parma, Torino, Atalanta, Bologna. All these games in the last, you know, we're on a 9-game win streak, but especially the ones in the last month to 5 weeks where we knew that dropping points wasn't the end of the world. But why set the bar here when you can set it up here? Reach those games, keep winning those games. I don't see Sassuolo beating us. That's not going to happen. It's going to take a game of lapses of concentration and focus of Inter, because we are going to get more chances against Sassuolo than we did against Bologna. Believe that. We are going to have a more open game against Sassuolo than Bologna. So, Mo, I think that if Lukaku and Lautaro are focused, we are going to win this game, bro. If we are not focused and we go into it thinking, boys, what a great win that was against Bologna, we're on our way. No. We can't be thinking like that. So to answer your question shortly, I say wins for Juventus and wins for Inter on this, what's pretty much a penultimate match day now.
Okay, there you have it, guys. Alberto, do you have anything to plug in? Do you have anything coming that you want to tell the fans about?
Just the same old, man. YouTube channel, All JuveCast, matchday lives, post-match podcasts, and we've got some apparel kicking out, not only for Juventini with Striped Hearts apparel, but we just dropped a wicked Azzurri drop for some classic, cool designs focused on past and present stars of the Azzurri. So check that out at stripedheartsapparel.com.
Make sure you check his channel, guys. Alberto, Juve AllCast. All JuveCast is great content. Make sure you like and subscribe this video and subscribe to our channel right here. And hopefully we'll see you next week as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Alberto. Thanks, Anthony. Man. And have a great one, everyone. See you guys soon.
Mo, thanks for hosting. Ciao.
Ciao, everyone. Thank you.